My younger sister turned my life into a competition, so I made her win a prize she couldn't afford. I've had a shadow since the day my younger sister Natalie was born, and I don't mean that in the sweet, she admires you kind of way. I mean it like if I bought a dress, she bought the designer version. If I said I liked coffee, she became a barista. If I started jogging, she showed up the next week with brand new Nikes, a Fitbit, and a personal trainer trailing behind her like she was training for the Olympics. It started small when we were teenagers. I'd get highlights and Natalie would go platinum blonde the next week. Annoying, but whatever. Then it got personal in college. I saved for months for a spa weekend for my birthday. Natalie booked the same resort the week before and used my reservation name by accident, so they gave her my special package. After graduation, it turned cruel. I fostered kittens for the shelter and fell in love with this tiny orange tabby. Natalie adopted him knowing I couldn't keep pets in my apartment. She even named him Copycat. Then last year it got vicious. She found out about my anxiety disorder and told my coworkers I was mentally unstable when we both applied for the same promotion. The pattern was clear. She'd make life-changing decisions on a whim just to one-up me, like quitting her stable job when I got promoted or moving to a luxury apartment she couldn't afford when I got my own place. Everything I touched, she had to contaminate and claim as her own. But the breaking point came when my best friend Nina stopped returning my calls. We've been friends since 3rd grade. She was supposed to be my maid of honor someday. Her kid even called me Aunt Jessie, but everything just stopped out of nowhere. It was radio silence for 2 weeks until I finally cornered Nina at the grocery store and she looked at me like I was diseased. Turns out Natalie had been feeding her stories for months about how I talked behind her back and tried to sabotage her marriage. Complete fabrications with just enough twisted truth to sound believable. Nina believed every word. The kicker was Natalie had already wormed her way in as the replacement best friend. She even became the godmother for Nina's 2nd child, a role she had promised me since the day she found out she was pregnant. I went home that night and cried until I threw up. Then I got mad. Then I got smart. If Natalie wanted to copy everything I did, I'd give her something worth copying, something she couldn't undo. I started posting about feeling broody and creating Pinterest boards full of nursery ideas. At Sunday dinner, I mentioned researching fertility clinics for single mothers. Natalie's eyes locked onto me like a hawk. Over the next month, I escalated perfectly. I'd post an ultrasound photo from Google, then quickly delete it. I talked about morning sickness and being scared but excited. I left a fake pregnancy test box in our parents' trash, knowing she always snooped. I never directly said I was pregnant, just let her draw her own conclusions. I knew her weakness was being so obsessed with beating me to every milestone. She never stopped to think if she actually wanted what I had. The trap worked better than I imagined. Within 3 weeks, Natalie announced at a family dinner that she was pregnant. My parents nearly choked on their pot roast. She spun this whole story about wanting to experience motherhood and how the right guy might come along eventually, but she couldn't wait anymore. The truth came out later when Natalie drunk texted me at 2 a.m. begging for advice. Turns out she'd gone to 3 different bars until she found some random guy who looked decent enough and lied about being on birth control. She literally got pregnant from a one-night stand with a stranger whose last name she didn't even know just to beat me to motherhood. I waited until she was past the point of no return, 12 weeks pregnant, and had announced it on social media, then posted on Facebook that my pregnancy was a false alarm and I decided to wait a few years after all. Sometimes the best decision is knowing when you're not ready. Natalie called me screaming. Actually screaming. I could hear her hyperventilating through the phone. She was pregnant with a stranger's baby. The guy had blocked her number when she told him. She had no plan, no partner, no preparation, just a positive pregnancy test and a competitive streak that had finally gone too far. She begged me to help her figure out what to do. She cried that she wasn't ready and didn't even like kids that much. She admitted she only did it because she couldn't let me have something first. I told her I had to go and hung up. Natalie had the baby 7 months later and moved back with our parents. Her Instagram going from designer bags to diaper blowouts overnight. She tells everyone I tricked her but can't explain why she got pregnant with a stranger just 3 weeks after my supposed announcement. I moved across the country and finally learned what it felt like to live without a shadow. She wanted to be me so badly she forgot to ask if my life was even real.